Welcome to The Body Count, a completely new show that I made up that's totally not based on any pre-existing thing. I figured for the first episode of this new series, I would do a movie that everybody's seen before. So I picked Jurassic Park, released in 1993. It was the highest grossing movie of all time when it came out, so it needs no introduction, but for the four of you who do, basically it's about Colonel Sanders resurrecting dinosaurs, bringing them back to life, putting them in a zoo, and then life finds a way and they get out and start eating people. But just how many people? Well, let's take a look at the movie and find out. The movie begins on a tropical island of Costa Rica. A forklift comes in carrying a transfer crate as Robert Muldoon, the game warden, overlooks the whole operation. The moving team gets it into place, and when the gatekeeper Joffrey Brown steps up to keep the gate, the raptor slams into the back of the cage, pushing it off of its track. Joffrey falls and a raptor grabs him, as Muldoon holds onto him, telling the others to shoot him! It's all pointless, because none of them ever fucking shoot him! So we get our first kill of the movie as Joffrey slips through his arms. Cut over to Donald Gennaro, a lawyer representing investors at InGen, which is the company that John Hammond owns. Hammond himself isn't at the Amber Mine when Gennaro shows up to meet with him, because his daughter remembered that she's in a Spielberg movie and is getting a divorce. Gennaro already has a scientist lined up to go investigate the park, because the deaths of Joffrey Brown have led to a few concerns about its safety. Of course, his pick, a chaotician named Ian Malcolm, isn't exactly the most liked or respected man out there, and the investors want Alan Grant, a prestigious paleontologist. We cut to Grant out in Montana digging up dino bones. Him and his paleobotanist girlfriend Ellie Sattler are looking at a dead raptor. Grant likes to point out all the similarities between them and birds, because despite everybody constantly criticizing this movie for its inaccuracies, Jurassic Park was actually pretty ahead of its time scientifically. But of course, a little shit in the audience is not entertained by Grant's speech about 4-piece chicken nuggets.
That doesn't look very scary. More like a 6-foot turkey.
The fuck you talking about, kid? That'd be terrifying. Grant makes sure to scare the kid. Tell him all about how velociraptors kill their prey with their sharp claws.
He slashes at you with this 6-inch retractable claw, like a razor, on the middle toe.
Because as we all know, like all things out of China, velociraptors were black belts in karate, able to deliver sidekicks like Jackie Chan. Speaking of little kids, seems like Ellie is in the mood for one. But their conversation gets interrupted when a helicopter lands. Grant runs into his trailer to find John Hammond raiding the fridge. He pops champagne, and as Ellie walks in, Hammond tells him all about his theme park. He wants them to come down and investigate it for the weekend, and in return he'll fund their dig for a further 3 years. Meanwhile, in San Jose, a guy steps out of a car looking for Newman from Seinfeld. And wait, who's the guy looking for him again? What's his name?
Dodson! Dodson! We've got Dodson here!
Oh shit, really? Dodson?
See, nobody cares.
I care. Dodson is meeting with Dennis Nedry, the IT guy at the park. Dodson is offering Nedry a handsome sum of money in order to sneak some dinosaur embryos off the island. But how is he going to get the embryos, you may ask? Well, with a handy-dandy compartment on the bottom of a shaving cream can, he can sneak right past customs. Cut to a helicopter where we finally meet the one, the only, Ian Malcolm, who's here to do his sexy laugh for us all. Anyway, Ian is of course a chaotician, and he does not believe that Hammond's project is going to succeed. But he won't explain why yet, because it's too early in the movie for that. They quickly land and hop in some jeeps where they drive out to a field to see...
Holy fucking shit, it's a dinosaur! Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
They may be wondering now, just how the hell did they manage to bring dinosaurs back from extinction? Well, the answer is simple. You see, according to this little animation, when the character Mr. DNA, there were mosquitoes a long time ago that used to feed off of dinosaurs, and whenever they fed on a dinosaur, they would land on a tree. They would then get stuck in tree sap, which fossilized like a dinosaur bone. The scientists at Jurassic Park would dig up the fossilized tree sap with the mosquito still inside, and they would extract the dinosaur blood from the mosquito. Using the dinosaur blood, they were able to re-engineer it into dinosaur DNA. And with this dinosaur DNA, of course, it wasn't perfect. There were still gaps in the genetic code. And due to this, they had to use the DNA of amphibians, frogs, instead of You know, shit like crocodiles or lizards or actual fucking dinosaurs. But in any case, they were still able to resurrect a dinosaur. Grant, Ellie, and Malcolm want to see the dinosaurs, so they get up and leave, walking right into the lab just full of dinosaur eggs. One of the eggs starts to hatch, and as Henry Wu, chief geneticist, walks over, they watch as a baby raptor is born. Malcolm goes on a tirade about how well life can find a way, and even if all the dinosaurs are female, like they have engineered the dinosaurs, there is still a chance the dinosaurs can reproduce. Grant is more concerned about the velociraptors. I mean, if you think the babies are cool, just wait till you see the full-grown ones. He walks right over to the raptor enclosure, where they drop in a whole fucking cow for them to eat. God damn, these things eat better than I do. Holy shit, just raw beef, huh? Muldoon returns to the movie to tell us all about just how dangerous the velociraptors are. There used to be 8, but one of them came in, and she just killed all of them but 2. And since then, she has taken over the pack. With the raptors finishing their lunch, the humans decide to have theirs. But instead of eating any of it, they just stand around arguing about philosophy and stuff. And look, when I was a kid, this scene really seemed to bore the shit out of me. But now that I'm older and actually have written a few things before, this is one of the best scenes of the movie. Malcolm and Ellie are a bit more critical of the whole situation. Gennaro is all for it, because, you know, it's bound to generate money. And Grant is more in the middle. He has no idea what to really expect. But we've hit the 40-minute mark, which means now is the time to introduce the true monsters of the film.
Kids!
Children. Those children being Lex and Tim, Hammond's grandkids. Yeah, they were brought over because their parents are having a divorce, and because, well, you know, if you're having an attraction for children, it might be helpful to have feedback from children. After some back and forth about which car everybody's going in, Hammond goes into the control room where Samuel L. Jackson, playing Ray Arnold, starts the tour. So with the tour started, it's finally time to see the dinosaurs. Except no, it isn't. Yeah, the Dilophosaurus cage is empty. T-Rex cage, also empty. Nothing to be found. Malcolm gives a little demonstration about chaos theory using water to demonstrate unpredictability and microvariations. Meanwhile, Grant steps out when he sees something interesting in the field. The others follow him to see a sick Triceratops. Yo, so when a dinosaur gets sick, do you call a doctor, a vet, or a paleontologist? You know what? I think she should be fine as long as nobody. What the fuck are you doing? Get off. I wonder how this Triceratops feels right about now. Oh, gotta get breathed. The vet, Jerry Harding, explains that even though there are toxic berries right fucking there, don't worry, the dinosaurs don't eat them. And his claim seems to be backed up when Ellie Sattler decides to just start digging around in dinosaur shit to find that there are no berries to be found. A storm rolls in, so everybody returns to the cars except for Ellie, who wants to continue playing with dinosaur shit. With the storm approach, this is the perfect cover for Nedry to start his plan. He sabotages the power, turning it off, giving him the perfect opportunity to slip inside, steal all of the embryos, and get the fuck up out of there. Well, with the power going out, that means that the electric cars stop right by the T-Rex pen. Between them and the T-Rex, there's this tasty little goat, right? So, I'm sure if there was a T-Rex, you know, not saying there is, but hypothetically, even if there was, the goat would be the first to go. So as long as there's that goat there, there's nothing to worry about.
Where's the goat?
Gennaro promptly shits his pants and runs away, leaving the kids alone when the T-Rex breaks out. It decides to take a little look-see inside, and when they shine flashlights into its eyeballs like a couple of assholes, the T-Rex starts freaking out. She flips over the car, tearing into it. But don't worry, here's Grant to save the day. Using his paleontology powers, he plays fetch with Roberta. Malcolm has a much more effective technique, using his sexy body to lure her away, remembering that all the dinosaurs are in fact female. They run right into the porta-pooper, where they find Gennaro sitting on the toilet, open to the Rex. Gennaro gets chomped down on and dies like he lives. Full of shit. Grant manages to get Lex out of the car, but he has trouble with Tim when Roberta returns. But using his paleontology powers, Grant manages to summon a cliff out of thin fucking air. A cliff that Tim ends up falling down, of course. Meanwhile, with Nedry, his car gets stuck, so he steps out to winch it free. But while he's outside, he runs into a little Dilophosaurus, which is, look at it, what a cute little thing. No way this little sweetheart can hurt. Oh my god! The Dilophosaurus spits all over Nedry's chest and his face, usually have to pay for the service, before he climbs into the car, probably going blind from all the neurotoxins in his eyeballs. At least he has a nice designated driver next to him in the form of the Dilophosaurus. Oh shit, no, never mind, yeah, it eats him. He's dead. Meanwhile, Timmy's still stuck in the tree, so Grant has to go get him out.
He landed!
But that's not what I'm gonna do.
Remember that part. Grant climbs the tree to go get Timmy, and after finding him still in the car, he manages to convince the kid to follow him down. But the car soon begins to fall down the tree. But Grant got his PhD from the Prometheus School of Running Away from Things, so they run down the tree and end up right back where they started.
We're back in the car again.
Ellie and Muldoon show up to look for survivors, and while they find no sign of Grant and the kids, they do find the injured Ian Malcolm laying underneath the destroyed bathroom. They also find Gennaro.
I think this was Gennaro.
I think this was too.
Roberta returns, so they must run away in a high-speed chase. But after their Wrangler gets turned into a convertible, she suddenly loses interest. I guess Roberta's not really into cars. Grant and the kids climb a tree where they get to sleep with brachiosauruses and hang out with them when they wake up. During a morning walk through the jungle, Grant ends up finding something interesting. Now I know what you're thinking. But how do the dinosaurs lay eggs if they're all female? Well, the movie's got that covered too.
Amphibian DNA. Some West African frogs have been known to spontaneously change sex from male to female in a single-sex environment.
That's right. Tumblersaurus. Back in the control room, the group comes up with various contingency plans, but Hammond's not really a fan of any of them. He decides to come up with the Super Nintendo method, just turn it off and back on again, since he knows that this is in fact an IT problem. Sam Jackson ends up turning it off and back on again, and what do you know? It actually seemed to work. However, it tripped the circuit breakers, meaning that everything is turned off, which makes me wonder how they were just looking at a blinking computer screen a second ago, but silver lining, Mr. Arnold can just go out and turn the power on manually, and it should only take about 3 minutes, while the rescue group decides to go in the emergency bunker that's on the complete opposite end of the park. Meg, Grant, and the kids, they encounter a flock of gallimimuses, and watch Roberta show up and eat one of them, and it's a filler scene, but I don't know, it's a pretty good filler scene. Back in the bunker, Allie is worried about Arnold being gone for so long. Muldoon arms up with a shotgun and only one shell. Wait, what? Even if these motherfuckers lined up perfectly, one hit after another, you would still need more than one round of buckshot to step out into the jungle and make a terrifying discovery.
The shutdown must have turned off all the fences. Damn it, even imagine you better to mess with the raptor fences.
Now's not a good time to be working on your freestyle skills, Bob. Muldoon spots a raptor ahead, so he goes off to hunt it while Ellie runs for the powerhouse. Meanwhile, Grant and the kids have encountered the giant perimeter fence to the center of the island, and since all the power's off, this is the perfect time for them to just climb over. Grant and Lex manage to climb over pretty easily, but Timmy's slow as fuck. He's on there so long that Ellie is able to turn the power back on. But thankfully, Grant's able to resuscitate him using CPR. That'd be like if there was a guy bleeding out in the street from a gunshot wound, and the ER nurse came by and managed to bring him back to life with defibrillators. But with the power back on, things should surely be looking up.
Hammond, I think we're back in business.
This one's already claimed to kill, because it turned out that Sam Jackson is Sam Jackson, so he's dead now. Shame, he actually had like a whole death scene planned out and everything, and then a hurricane destroyed the set, so now people forget he's in the movie. Ellie manages to limp away for some reason, and locks it behind the powerhouse. Meanwhile, with Muldoon, he lines up the perfect shot for the raptor, but he gets flanked by the easy, breezy, beautiful, clever girl that pounces on him, mauling his face and killing him while the other one just watches from the Jurassic Cuck chair. Grant manages to get the kids back to the visitor center, and he decides to leave their asses behind while he goes looking for survivors. Remember this part?
He landed!
But that's not what I'm gonna do.
Apparently Grant's never seen Home Alone, because as we all know, bad shit happens when you leave children by themselves. And you know shit's about to get even more unlucky when they bring out the green jello. Yep, sure enough, a velociraptor shows up, and when the kids hide in the kitchen, it manages to open the door. And after somebody reaches out and grabs its ass, she calls in the other raptor, and the two begin hunting the kids in yet another iconic scene. Timmy almost gets found when a ladle gets dropped, but Lex manages to lure it away, and when it goes to attack her, it hits a reflection. Timmy decides to make a run for it to the freezer for some goddamn reason. When the raptor chases him, Timmy's able to get out of the freezer and lock it inside. Before the big one can recover, thankfully Grant and Ellie show up to get the kids and bring them back to the control room. Unfortunately, they still haven't rebooted all the systems, so the locks are still down, and we get what is possibly the one scene where all the flaws come out. Like, Ellie's sitting on the hinge side of the door, she can't even, she's not even doing anything. And instead of Timmy doing anything, he's just like jumping around doing the pee-pee dance. Eventually, Lex manages to reboot everything so they're able to lock the raptor outside and call up Hammond so we can bring in some rescue choppers. But then a raptor breaks into the window and they have to climb through the ceiling. After Grant grabs both the ladies' asses, they drop down onto the skeletal display and climb onto the T-Rex skeleton. But then the raptor fucking followed them there somehow. What the hell? Everything ends up crumbling, but since there's no kryptonite inside, the kids are fine. But the raptor from the power shed is now joining. They're blocked on both sides. But just when all hope seems lost, the Rex materializes out of thin fucking air and snatches up the raptor. Maybe that's where that cliff came from. The T-Rex does not obey the laws of physics. It's on the same playing field as Shaggy and Bonnie. In any case, the humans are able to escape into a jeep with Hammond, while Roberta finishes off the last raptor. The survivors get to the helipad, and they all climb in to finally escape the island. Grant decides that maybe he can deal with annoying little bastards, but even though Hammond's dream of showing off dinosaurs is no more, at least some modern dinosaurs to follow the chopper. So, when you bring back dinosaurs, just how many people go extinct? Let's find out, kind of at the scoreboard. So yeah, there were only 5 deaths in Jurassic Park, giving it a slow start to our kill count, but don't worry. It gets pretty big pretty fast. Of the victims, all 5 are male, so there's no interesting chart I could give you. But with a runtime of 127 minutes, that gives us a kill on average every 25.4 minutes. Also, a breakdown amongst the species of dinos, and I'll be keeping track of this throughout the series. There were 3 people killed by raptors, 1 was killed by the Rex, and 1 was killed by a Dilophosaur. This is only the first episode, that's all the stats I got for you. Anyway, I'd like to thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one when I do the sequel, The Lost World. But until then, this has been The Body Count, a totally unique idea. Peace.